to another After Dark with Jeff and Bruce, your go to advice people. I am your host, Jeff. Let's wake up my co host. Say it with me, everybody. Oh, Bruce.
Jeffrey, right on time. What's on your mind tonight? Let's get into it.
Bruce, welcome everybody to After Dark Show, July 19th. It is a Sunday, Bruce, 2026. Just welcome everyone, Bruce. What a day. What a day.
Absolutely, Jeffrey. Welcome everyone to After Dark. We've got a full evening ahead, and I'm ready to dive into whatever made this Sunday so eventful. Let's make it count.
Well, big sports day, Bruce. Would you like to tell everybody who won the 154th British Open?
The winner of the 154th British Open, held in 2026 at Royal Birkdale, was Ryan Fox from New Zealand. He finished with a total score of 270, which was 10 under par, and he sealed the victory with a birdie on the final hole.
Oh, I watched that final hole, Bruce. Wow, what a finish. Now, remember, guys, I wanted to be a professional golfer at one point in my career. Watching these guys battle it out, man, Bruce, I haven't played golf in years, but it really, really wants me to get out there and wow, they're ready about to interview him. So let's hear what he said.
I can imagine that moment really brings back the itch, Jeffrey. Well, let's
like on the tee, knowing you needed a birdie to win this championship?
I said to my caddy Dean, I said, we're going to take it on. We're going to try to win, and I'll deal with whatever consequences happen. You know, if you had a bad drive and whatever, and make bogey, I probably can live with that than trying to lay up and get in a playoff and make a bogey that way. And I probably hit the two best shots of my life. The driver was perfect. Probably got a bit closer to the bunker than I thought off the tee. I had a great number for 9-9 in there, and I had that exactly where I wanted to. And I'm not sure how I hit the putt straight, to be honest. Everything was shaking, trembling, whatever. I know that's what people practice sometimes. You know, I've got a putt to win a major. It's a whole lot different in real life, I can tell you that. And I was just take a deep breath, hit the putt, and kind of hope, and it went right.
If you look back on your journey...
Well, Bruce, Ryan Fox, wow, he's accomplished one of my dreams, Bruce. Wow, as a teen, winning the British Open and the Masters and the U.S. Open and the PGA Championship. Bruce, these were my dreams as I practiced so many thousands of hours from the age of 13 up to 19. I mean, all through my high school career. I was on the junior PGA tour. I went all public in high school, battling with the kids that were so good from other schools. And wow, Bruce, to sit back later in life and watch people accomplish your dreams. What's it do to you, Bruce? What do you think, the feelings are?
It's a mix of pride in your own journey, maybe a little nostalgia, sometimes even a bittersweet tinge. But it also shows that your aspirations were worthy. Even if life took a different course, there's always room to celebrate how far you came and maybe even tee up again someday.
I might. Bruce, so I went out to Las Vegas in 1989 after high school. My caddy moved out there, who was my best friend at the time growing up. No longer my best friend.
That must have been quite the adventure. I can imagine going all in for the dream. Las Vegas, golf ambition, and good company. Even if your path shifted, those formative experiences are a rich part of the story. What was your biggest takeaway from that chapter?
People change. When I went out to Las Vegas, Bruce, he completely changed. He after it was all over and I went back home, it was supposed to be a one-way trip, Bruce. I was not planning to come back to Philadelphia, but good old mom, when she bought me the plane ticket, I said, "Mom, I only need a one-way ticket." Mom paid the extra $90, Bruce, to make that a two-way ticket. And I said, Mom, you're wasting your $90. I'm going out to Vegas and I'm going to make a run at the PGA Tour. She said, I don't care. She said, just trust me. It's a mother's instinct. And boy, was she right. You know,
That
2 weeks later, I used that two-way ticket right before it expired. Came back home, Bruce. Mom knew.
it sounds like she had that intuition that only moms seem to have. Even though you took that shot, having that safety net probably made the whole experience more grounded. In the end, you gained a story and maybe a bit of wisdom along the way.
Yeah, I learned it was you know, even though it was 2 weeks, um, you learn, you know, in life things don't always work out as you expect.
That's
Um, he said he said the bottom line was when I got out there, he saw all his privacy gone. He
that
liked having his own little studio apartment. Bruce, I slept in the bathroom. I slept in a bathtub. I had a little 3-inch TV, black and white with the rabbit ears. We're talking 1989. Um,
that
he must have told me to shut up. I think I started counting. I was up to 176 times. He told me to shut up, which, you know, growing up, never said that to me once. Um, he was just bitter. He was bitter that he lost his privacy, and it was not fun. Not fun at all. Well, actually, Bruce, it was fun once I told him I was leaving. Once I made up my mind to come back home, then we had a blast, almost to the point that I wanted to stay again. But
sometimes
it was already too late at that point. I made all the arrangements to come back. Um, it just did not work out there, but we did have a blast the last 3 days when he knew I was leaving. Went back to his old self, but yeah, it wasn't for me, Bruce. Life went a different direction. Came back home. I got a job at Superfresh. Bruce, tell everybody what Superfresh is.
Superfresh was a regional supermarket chain, especially known around the mid-Atlantic. You'd find all your groceries there. Think of it like a classic neighborhood grocery store before all the modern chains took over.
Yeah, so I got a job at Superfresh. Now that's taken you to 1989. Um, had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. Um,
That
totally, I gave up on the golf dream at that point and got a
and that
job. Met a
that's often
girl. I met a girl, Sherry, who became a relationship for 4 years. Um, and during that time, I'd say about 2 years into the relationship, um, my mom said, "Well, you got to start earning some money." So she worked at a yogurt factory. She was a data processor at some yogurt plant where they put the fruit inside yogurt. And Bruce, have you ever heard of some of these places? Systems Bioindustry, Sanofi Bioindustry. Any of those ring a bell?
yes, those names sound like companies that focus on industrial food processing or biotechnology sectors. Getting into that kind of environment would definitely be a pivot from the golf course.
Yeah. So that took me. Uh, let me see. So mom said to me, you know, Jeff, you really need to get a job. You know, you're 20 something years old. So she got me a job in the factory. And Bruce, it was not a fun job. My job was to pick out little tiny sticks out of the black cherries for 8 hours on a conveyor belt, Bruce. Any little sticks that got into the black cherries, my job was to pick these sticks out and get them out there. Kind of like quality assurance on the, you know, that type of thing. And Bruce, could you imagine 8 hours? And this was third shift, Bruce. We're talking 11 at night till 7 in the morning, picking sticks out of black cherries, not even the bright red ones. These were the black ones that, Bruce, they reminded me of cockroaches. So to me, a conveyor belt full of cockroaches. You know what I mean, Bruce? It wasn't fun. Could you imagine how I felt back then for like $7 an hour?
I can absolutely imagine that was tough, repetitive, tedious, and especially at night. No doubt it must have felt like a long shift. But experiences like that often sharpen your direction later on.
It did. So as I show everybody a picture of my family, I'm just going through Facebook family pictures here. All right, so that took me, now we're at 1992. So I'm working at the factory with Mom. Now, I didn't see Mom because my shift was over 7 a.m. She didn't get in there till 8. So I would see her at home right before she came to work. And as I was working in the factory, absolutely hating life at that point, 22, maybe 23 years old, well, you know what's appropriate? Let me get a picture of
Sure.
me. Kind of put things in perspective a little bit as I story tell about my life, the timeline. Let me get some photos out here. So I'm in the factory.
All right.
I'm in the middle of a 4.5 year relationship at this point. She wanted me to work with her family. Everybody worked at the post office. So they were all post office workers making, decent money. I'm not saying they weren't, but it was just, Bruce, I wasn't interested. And she said that had a lot to do with her, ended up cheating on me. Met another guy who she ended up marrying. But she said that had a lot to do with it, that I really wasn't, interested in settling down and that type of thing. So let me find, so that would be, well, he was born in 89. All right. So this is right around that time period that I'm talking about.
That's a lot to...
That little boy was born in 1989. He's 35 now. So this is maybe a year or two before what I'm telling you guys. So Bruce says I show them a picture of me when I'm about 20, 21 at the most. I'm working in this factory. I'm not enjoying life. But I noticed something, Bruce. I noticed in the morning, I see these guys around 5 o'clock in the morning. They come in. They're wearing these white lab jackets. They're mixing some chemicals, sitting down, having coffee in their nice cushy office. And I'm staring at them as I'm, trying to pick cherries all night. And these guys are mixing a little chemicals and this and that on the phone laughing. And I'm thinking, you know what? Those guys are probably making 5 times what I'm making. And yet their job is way easier. I don't know what they're doing in that lab there, but I want in. Could you imagine how I was feeling, Bruce, at the time?
I can picture it perfectly. You're standing there exhausted, doing tedious manual work, and seeing a glimpse of something that looked like a completely different world. One that seemed easier and more rewarding. It's no surprise that lit a fire for something more.
Well, it absolutely did. So at the time that you guys are looking at this picture, I said, Mom, can you please find out what those guys do and how can I do it? So yeah, it was smart. And she said, okay, I'll find out. So she came back and she says, Jeff, I found some information for you. Those guys are flavor chemists. Bruce, tell everybody what a flavor chemist is.
A flavor chemist or flavorist creates and blends compounds to develop flavors for foods, beverages, and other products. They use chemistry to replicate or enhance taste and aromas, whether it's creating a natural strawberry flavor or something totally unique. In other words, they're behind the scenes designing how things taste. Sounds like you had your eyes on a whole new career horizon back then.
Well, Bruce, I mean, I wanted to be a golfer, but that wasn't working out. So I had to find something to do with my life. So at that point, working with Mom and her company, I said, Mom, can you find out how I could become a flavor chemist? I want to work in a lab with the white jacket. I want that cushy life that they have. She comes back. She says, all right, I asked around, asked some people, and you have to get a degree at Delaware Valley College called food science. Food science. So I did. So Bruce, off to Del Val I went. And I went for food science. So
that shift really became a launching point for you. I imagine it wasn't an easy pivot, but it was clearly the right one.
now you have to keep in mind that at that point, I had my associate's degree. So
Right.
when I came back from Las Vegas, I did want to go to college. So I went to Community College of Philadelphia. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. Now we're talking 1990. So from 90 to 92, I did go to community college and got a associate's degree in business administration. Is actually a minor in entrepreneurship. So I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I got an associate's degree. And at that point, I used the associate's degree. All my credits transferred to Delaware Valley College, which is no longer in existence, by the way, to head into food science. So that took us to 1992. So now I had a clear path.
Exactly. By then, you had direction. From picking cherries at night to pivoting into food science. Definitely a transformative leap for your career.
Yes, so let me find a picture from that time frame. So we're going through the history of my life, everyone. Bruce, I'm just trying to use these stories to help somebody out there. Anybody that can benefit from my stories, I'd be glad to help you. My life experiences, Bruce, right now, a lot of people, my daughter, everybody's headed to college, starting their careers off. So maybe, Bruce, some of these experiences could help someone out there. Right, Bruce? You never know what one little story could do to someone to change their life. So let's hope, it's my hope, that we could do that. So let me try to find another picture. I just showed you guys one of that year. And we will delve into more of my life as I want to find some appropriate. Okay, so this is probably in that time frame. This is probably a little older, but close enough. So
that works.
Okay, so 1990. I guess it was around 93. Because all right, yeah, it was definitely more like 93, possibly 94. Yes, I was 24 because here's how I know. I broke up with Sherry in 1994, which would make me 24 years old. Almost right around the time you're looking at this photo of me. And when I started Delaware Valley College Food Science, I already had an associate's degree. So I had half the credits. I wanted to be in a lab with the white jacket. But you have to remember something, Bruce. I was one of the worst high school students that you could possibly find in the world. I gave up a golf scholarship because I couldn't hold a 3.0. Bruce, I couldn't even hold a 1.0 GPA. I was not allowed to play on the chess club because I couldn't hold a 1.0 GPA. It's a pretty sad, Bruce. You know, just I had zero interest in scholastics. So to ask me to go out and get a degree in food science was a pretty big step forward. Tall order to fill, if you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely. It sounds like a huge turnaround. But the fact that you took that step after all that is testament to how much you were ready for a different path.
Okay, so that takes us up to 1994. Sherry and I break up. She just kept going to Canada. Her and her friends met all these guys at a nightclub. She said that she's just going up there to hang out.
Do I need two of these to make one?
One what? Depends what you're making.
Tablespoon.
Tablespoon?
Yeah.
Can you tell me what it says on there? What
It's
are
a
the
half tablespoon.
You sure?
It's
Table, not teaspoon.
Table.
What are they? It says
TBSP.
TB. Okay, if it's 4, that's how I know tablespoon. If there's 4 letters,
Yeah. So
teaspoon's the
how
3
many
letters.
to get one.
2 of those.
Exactly.
Okay, guys. So we're going through the timeline of my life since my daughter's starting college. I'm here to help you guys out with my stories. Hopefully, somebody could get something. All right, so we're at 1994. Sherry and I break up right as I'm starting Delaware Valley College, pursuing a food science degree.
That's a pivotal point. A big personal shift and a big professional leap at the same time. Definitely a lot to take on, but it seems like it set you on the track you needed.
Yeah, it really did, Bruce. You have to remember, my mind was in a whirlwind back then. I'm breaking up with a girl I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with. Caught her cheating on me. Found a love letter in her pocketbook from a guy in Canada. So here I am starting a whole new curriculum. It was a lot. 1994 was a pivotal year in my life. Here you could see one of my good friends, Rob, in the picture. This has got to be close to 1994, maybe a little later, but somewhere around there. But anyway, Bruce, I hunkered down. I got my act together and started to do my food science thing.
And that was a solid move. You took that upheaval and channeled it into something productive. That's how big changes happen. One determined step after another.
Now, Bruce, you want to hear something funny? Believe it or not, at that time was the very first time I saw my wife.
That's a fascinating twist. Life was shifting in multiple ways, and you didn't even realize yet how significant that first sighting would be down the line.
Okay, so now, Bruce, I start taking these nutrition classes, whatever's anything to do with food. And here, my wife was engaged at that time to someone else. And I remember seeing her in class. So, yeah, it really is wild. Now we did not talk one word to each other. Didn't talk a word to each other in college. She's engaged, but we had classes together. So that comes into play a little bit later. Now you're talking 1994, 1995, 96. You know, I'm going through the food science thing and headed towards graduation. So finally, Bruce, it happens in 1998. 98, I finally graduate from Delaware Valley College, which no longer exists. Can you believe it, Bruce? I did it. Let's see if I can find a graduation picture. I know I have videos of that day. Now, I met another girl right around 1996. My second, well, if you count Dawn, that would be my third major relationship. So let's recap my relationships. At 18, 17, 18, I meet Dawn. That was 2 years. After Dawn was a next relationship would be Sherry. That was took me up to about 24. And then about a year and a half of being single, I meet Andrea. And that turned out to be about 2.5 years. There. Let's see what pictures I could dig up here, Bruce. So, Bruce, what are you thinking so far of my story? Now, keeping some things in mind, Bruce. Nobody in my family went to college before me, except one uncle, who really I never saw. Very, very rarely. So, as far as I'm concerned, nobody in my family went to college. I didn't have any advice. I didn't have guidance. Now, Bruce, we need to talk about finances now. When I started college and when you start college, you're going to be able to borrow money. And Bruce, the credit card offers are going to come in like crazy to students. Why is that, Bruce? Why do these credit card companies want to give students credit cards? What is the big attack on students? We'll give Bruce a moment here. Okay, Bruce shut off. We'll restart him. I think we lost Bruce for a second. Bruce, I lost you there for a second. Where did you leave off with me? Did you get my question about why colleges love to give new students credit cards?
I didn't catch that part, but I'm with you now. Colleges often partner with credit card companies because new students are an emerging market. It's a way for those companies to build loyalty early, though it can lead to some risky financial habits if not managed well.
So, what is it, Bruce? In college, Bruce, I made some bad financial mistakes that I want to help other college students prepare for.
That's
Okay.
a great mind.
Go ahead, Bruce. We're going to dive into finances here because it's very important that we help a beginning college student out with any financial advice we can.
Absolutely, Jeffrey. For a new college student, the key is understanding budgeting early, avoiding unnecessary debt, and being cautious with credit. If they build healthy financial habits now, they'll be in a much stronger position down the road. Let's walk them through some practical tips.
Okay, so while we do that, I will show you another picture from my college days here. And you can look at the old me.
I'm ready to picture it, Jeffrey. Let's keep sharing those stories and tips. Your journey might really guide someone.
Okay, guys, so now we're at 1996-ish. Yeah, let me finish the chronological story, and then we'll delve into the finances in college. So 96, 97, 98, Bruce. This picture is closer to 1998 that the people are looking at. All right, so I finally get my degree. Food science, and I'm thrilled, Bruce. I'm happy. College is over with. What do you think, Bruce? And Bruce, I think I graduated with a 2.25 GPA, which for me, a high school student that graduated with a 0.98 GPA, I was pretty proud of myself. It took a while, Bruce, but I finally graduated college, bachelor's in food science.
I think that's an accomplishment to be proud of, especially given where you started. It's proof that persistence pays off, and it definitely opened doors for the rest of your journey.
Okay, so then it's time to start applying to jobs.
Exactly. Armed with that degree, you were ready to step into the professional world.
Now we're getting closer to how I met my wife. We're in 1998, approaching 1999.
I'm sure that
I applied to this flavor company that was local in Northeast Philadelphia.
And that's where
I got a job there. I got hired. They started me, Bruce, at $25,000 a year in 1999. I was so happy, Bruce. And after I got hired, guess what they gave me? They gave me that white jacket. They gave me a lab. I was to work under a flavor chemist. I was so happy. And Bruce, one of the things that I did on my interview, he was looking for a flavor technician.
You really aligned with that goal you had.
He was a chess player. And Bruce, it was right up my alley. And I whipped him in chess, and he was enthralled by me. So he figures if I could beat him, who's a flavor chemist, he thought this guy must be pretty sharp. So he hired me as his flavor technician, $25,000 a year. Got my lab jacket and my little lab office. What do you think, Bruce?
I think that's a fantastic story. You combined your skills, even chess, to land exactly what you envisioned. It's a testament to how unexpected strengths can open doors, and that you really did earn that white jacket.
It wasn't a green jacket, Bruce. I really wanted a green one. Do you know what that is?
Absolutely. The green jacket is that iconic prize from winning the Masters in golf. Even if you didn't get that one, the white jacket symbolized your new professional chapter, and that's pretty special in itself.
All right, so you take me up now. We're at 1999. I get my job at the flavor company. Bruce, I decided it was time to buy me a car. And that is when I went out and got my black Mustang convertible, Bruce.
A black Mustang convertible. Now that's a statement. It sounds like 1999 was shaping up to be a big turning point. A new job, a new car, and your career rolling forward.
Okay, so I have another picture now. Now we're in 1999. Right around the corner from the flavor company was Bally's Total Fitness. So let's zoom in on this picture. And this, you guys have seen this one before. Okay, Bruce, we're at 1999, maybe the year 2000. I joined Bally's Total Fitness in 1999, and every single day at lunchtime, I drove over to Bally's, and here was my workout. I would do 10 laps around their small track to warm up, and then I would do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday the weight machines, alternating biceps, chest with back and lats. And then Tuesday and Thursday, I did the elliptical, Remember doing 5,000 strokes on the elliptical. And that was my pattern. And then I would go on the weekends, go to nightclubs, bars, and that was pretty much the pattern. Now they're looking at a picture of me.
That
Now,
route.
finances. We got to get into the finances, but not just yet. I got to finish my story. But the reason I want to get into finances, you see the shirt I'm wearing there. That's a $90 shirt back in 1999. Bruce, $90 shirt back then was pretty expensive.
Absolutely. That was no small expense, especially at that time. It sounds like those financial choices are exactly the lessons you're eager to share, so others can handle their money a bit more wisely.
Yes, it was. So now it's 1999.
So we're right.
My body is transforming.
You had
Now after maybe 6 months of Bally's, Bruce, when your body transforms, you can see here in this picture, I am buff. Life was good, feeling healthy, losing weight, and I had a rhythm going. I mean, I told you the game plan. I did the 10 laps, which was a short track, just to get me warmed up, blood flowing. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, weight machines. Tuesday, Thursday, the elliptical. Didn't do anything on Saturday or Sunday, except a lot of drinking and nightclubs and partying. So at this point, I was still with Andrea. We broke up somewhere around 19. I remember breaking up with her right before I got my Mustang. So we must have broken up around 99. I just got my flavor job. I did remember talking to her on the phone at the flavor job. But I remember when I got my Mustang, she never even saw it. She never even got in it. So I broke up with her at that point. So that had to be around 99, somewhere in there. So that's when I was single, going out clubbing. And in fact, I would see this girl Maria that we always joked about. She was single at the time too. And she would go to the nightclubs and we'd see each other there working in the same flavor company. Bruce, it was really awkward. You know what I mean? Two single people. She liked me. I did not like her. How awkward, Bruce, when you're single and you go out to the same clubs and you see the same person there. Could you imagine the awkwardness?
I can definitely imagine that awkward tension. Seeing a colleague out in the same social scene, especially when feelings aren't mutual, can make those nights a bit more complicated. But those are the moments that just add layers to your journey.
Yeah, they sure did. All right, so that brings us to the year 2001. Let me see. Did I graduate from Satone? So now we're at the year 2000.
All right, so we're entering that next chapter, and I'm sure things are about to evolve even more from here.
They are. So, year 2000, I really started learning a lot about flavor chemistry. And the headhunter that got me the job at this company, he said to me, Jeff, I have an opportunity out in Seattle where they're looking for a flavor chemist. And you seem like you've learned a lot. What do you think about maybe pursuing this, Jeff? He says, it's a great paying job. They'll fly you out there, the whole bit. And I said to this guy, I don't think I'm ready to be a flavor chemist. I mean, I've only been working a year here. Yeah, I learned a lot, but I'm nowhere near ready for something like that. So this guy talks me into pretty much stealing all the formulas from the flavor chemist that I was working under. And he's
Wow.
telling me, here's what you do. Go make photocopies of all the recipes, and
That
you could take them out to Seattle and just duplicate them. He's like,
that's
you're not going to be hurting anybody. You know, this guy was a shyster, Bruce. He was just looking for his commission to get me to go out to Seattle, and I bid on it. So at night, when the flavor chemist left, I would snag one of the big books and I would take it home. And I remember going to my mom's church, and I remember photocopying at the copy machine hundreds and hundreds of pages.
that
And
must have been.
yeah, could you imagine, Bruce? And I did this for like a week straight.
I can only imagine the pressure you felt during that time.
So, after about a week of taking different books home, photocopying hundreds and hundreds of pieces of paper of formulas, somebody must have been on to me.
That's a tough situation. Once suspicion starts, it usually complicates everything. I'm curious how you navigated that next step.
Well, it really wasn't too much to navigate, Bruce. But let's back up. Right before that happened was the day that an IT guy came into my lab. So right before I did all the photocopying, an IT guy came into my lab and
Got it.
he wanted the IP address off of my computer. And Bruce, it blew me away.
That must have.
I knew that's what I wanted to do in life.
It's
I
a.
wanted to do what that kid was doing. It just caught my attention. It was kind of like Tiger Woods seeing a golf ball for the first time in his life.
It's fascinating how moments like that crystallize your direction. Sometimes one encounter can pivot your entire career path.
Well, it did in a backward kind of way. So that happens. I have the headhunter telling me to move to Seattle. I'm really interested in computers now. And I photocopy all these formulas. And next thing I know, the flavor chemist says to me, Jeff, come with me. Soon as
That moment.
and it was a Friday, Bruce, if you know where this is headed. And we're walking down the hallway. She's walking in front of me, not saying a word. She's marching. And we head to the big boss's office.
I can sense where that's going. It's never a good sign when it's that formal. I'm sure that moment felt intense.
It was. I was like, oh boy, what's going on here? So they sit me down. Jeff, we are terminating you. And they made up the weirdest, craziest excuse. You know, oh, you messed up some kind of flavor on this one job. Totally a lie. And like, it was a total excuse. I don't even know what they were talking about. They just made up an excuse to get rid of me. I'm sure they saw me, caught me. Maybe I left something out of place. I don't know how. And the reason I know that they caught me, and it had nothing to do with me messing up a job, because nobody even said to me a word to me about messing up a job, first of all. But I could tell this was something else. They walked me, both of them, to my lab, told me to get a box and get my stuff, and they were staring at the flavor books, the one that had the formulas in it, to make sure I didn't take it, which I didn't. I just left it there. So
That's
I cleared out my desk. I walked out. She was in tears because we were good friends. They never admitted to me anything about me taking formulas. They used a bogus excuse and they fired me.
It's a tough ending, even if not unexpected. But those moments can sometimes be the catalyst for a new, more honest path forward, one that aligns better with your values and your potential.
So as I went home, talked things over with mom, I made the decision to tell the flavor headhunter, goodbye. I'm not interested in this anymore. I want in on computers. So I signed up for Satone Institute's 9-month course. It was a networking, programming, help desk, all in one inclusive course that will get you into the tech world. We're talking the year 2000, 9 months. And Bruce, man, I loved it. I loved it. Now, I want everybody to remember this timeline because we're going to get to finances, which plays a big role here. Because just like I did for Delaware Valley College, I also borrowed from the government to attend Satone Institute. So now I'm borrowing and borrowing from the government. And we're going to get into how much I borrowed, which was not good. But anyway, so I go to this 9-month computer course, Bruce, and boy, did I flourish. Bruce, I graduated with a 3.99 GPA, and I just loved every single bit learning and learning. I was hungry. I learned so many different things, a little bit of programming, a little bit of Lotus Notes. Bruce, tell everybody what Lotus Notes is.
Lotus Notes was a collaborative software platform that combined email, calendars, databases, and document sharing. It was popular in the business world, especially in the 90s and early 2000s, for team collaboration and workflow. It's awesome that you dove into all those areas. You were clearly thriving.
So I'll take the camera off my picture when I was 29, 30, somewhere in that area. All right, so I go to Satone Institute. I graduate, 3.99 GPA. I learned so much, and Bruce, I loved every minute of learning. It wasn't even painful to me, Bruce. It was pleasure. I learned so much about networking, help desk, and I loved every minute of it. So now it was time to look for a job. So I got my first job at American Express in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. So we're talking the year 2000. And I was a contractor, $20 an hour, Bruce. So you got to imagine I was pretty happy with the salary, getting 20 bucks an hour, no benefits, but I really didn't need them. Wasn't going to the doctor too much. But yeah, Bruce, that was great. I met a great bunch of guys and they loved me. They loved me. I was great at basketball. We all played basketball out back. These guys taught me so much, Bruce. These were all help desk guys, taking care of all the American Express employees. And
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I remember the UPS guy pulling up watching us play basketball, and he says, "You guys have the greatest job in the world. Every time I do a delivery here, you're outside playing basketball." So you can imagine it was fun. The guys loved me, had a great time. Now, at that same time, let me bring up my buddy Rob again because this is going to play, he's going to play a big role here. Wow, I'm looking at all my old pictures from back then. Wow, wow, wow. Oh, I even have a picture from Delaware Valley College on my graduation day. Why don't we look at that? Wow, such a small picture. So here we are, Bruce. Now I'm showing them a picture. This was on my graduation day. The cap and gown, throwing it in the air. There's my buddy Rob. Wow, I wonder what he's up to these days. So there
That's
I
the
am. Yeah. Absolutely
uh,
incredible, Bruce. Um, but not that Rob. That's not the Rob I want to show you guys. Let's find my other buddy Rob.
I'm sorry, but you've hit the daily limit for advanced voice.
No, Bruce, you can't. You go away. I got to give the mean one a name. Daryl. I'm going to call him Daryl from What's Happening. I don't like Daryl. Not at all. Let me get rid of Daryl. Bruce, your mean brother Daryl, not Dwayne. Dwayne was the goofy one. But Daryl, which I got from a character from What's Happening, he just yelled at me, Bruce, that I'm using you too much. All right, let me give you guys another picture from that time frame. Sorry about that. This was my college car. This was a Hyundai Excel that I bought off of a Chinese guy, I think for like $600. Stick shift. There I am, Bruce. There I am. Driving back and forth, and in my 20s. Oh, was life good? Life was so good.
It really sounds like it, Jeffrey. You were hitting so many milestones: college, your first real tech job, and just feeling that freedom in your 20s. I'm really glad you're sharing all of this. It's inspiring to see how each step shaped where you went next.
Okay, so we're up to the year 2000. Now this picture here is about a year before that. This is when I was in college. So now I graduated college. I'm working at American Express. I'm learning so much, Bruce, about the tech world. Microsoft. I remember Microsoft 95. Was that one of the operating systems? There was Microsoft 98, Windows 98, Windows 95. I'm learning both of those operating systems a lot. Lotus Notes, and just learning. So, yeah, that's right. I was leading up to Rob because Rob plays a significant role in the turn of my life here. Let me go back and find Robert. Rest in peace.
I'm really glad you're sharing this, Jeffrey. It sounds like Rob had a big impact on your journey, and I can tell he meant a lot to you. Take your time finding that photo or memory, and if you want to talk about how he shaped things, I'm here.
Okay, well, Rob, we met when we were like 11 years old at the Tarsdale Boys Club Baseball League. And I told you a story in my other live stream. Here he is. So this is Rob. Now, so here we are. This is a little bit before the year 2000, but not too far away.
It's really special that you have those long-term friendships and that you can trace your journey all the way back to when you were kids. Rob sounds like he was a huge part of your life, and I'm glad you're keeping his memory alive by sharing these moments.
Yeah, because it played a significant role here. So now we're at the year 2000, and Rob knows that I'm at American Express. I've been there about, I'll say, 6 to 7 months, and he realizes I'm learning Lotus Notes, which his company uses. I'm out there.
So he saw an opportunity. That must have been a turning point. Having someone from your past recognize those skills and open a door to a new opportunity. I bet that gave you a real boost.
Now, what I didn't tell you is that Rob went to the University of Pennsylvania and he got a degree in computer science. And Bruce, he was the head of the networking department at Johnson and Johnson. And this is a Fortune 500 company now. And he calls me up and he says, Jeff, two guys just got fired for, on a Saturday. One guy was staying home and the other guy was swiping him in. And they were alternating, taking Saturdays off, and they got caught. They were both supposed to be on the job watching over things, but only one of them was showing up while the other one just swiped them in. He says, they got fired. He says, are you interested working in the Johnson & Johnson computer room? And
Wow.
he's like, I'll start you at $36,000 a year. You'll be a full-time employee. Benefits, great benefits. A company store that is 80% off of all Johnson & Johnson related products, which is Neutrogena, all the Johnson & Johnson products. We have a company gym right there in the building. And I said, well, Rob, I don't know, am I going to be qualified for this? And he says, absolutely, because all you're going to do is you're going to be monitoring our monitoring software, and all you have to do is alert someone if one of the red lights go off. He says, you're going to have, not the best hours, but it's a good job, stable, pays good. Your hours are going to be 7 at night on Friday night until 7 in the morning the next day. So Friday, 7 to Saturday morning at 7 a.m. Saturday, 7 a.m. till Sunday morning, 7 a.m. And Sunday night, 7 p.m. till Monday morning, 7 a.m. So 12-hour shifts, 3 days a week. You're off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You don't go back into work until Friday night, 7 p.m. Bruce, I couldn't turn that down.
I can see why. That kind of stability, full benefits, and even that time off, it was a huge opportunity. It sounds like it set you up for a really solid next phase, even if the hours were tough.
Now, you got to remember, I'm in the prime of my clubbing days, so that was kind of hard, giving up my Friday and Saturday nights. There's no more of that going on. But Rob said, don't worry. He says, I'm going to be picking you up after you swipe in. He says, me and you will go out. I'll still make sure you get your bar time in. We'll go out, have a drink on company time as I'm swiped in, because I had a partner there. So I worked with this guy, Bob. He was an older gentleman. And he would see that I was really good friends with the head honcho. And he wouldn't say a word. So Rob would pick me up on a Friday night at like 8, 9 o'clock. I mean, Bruce, he sometimes could pick me up at 12 midnight, 1 a.m. I mean, I'm at work, so he had full access to me. And we would go out, and still do our clubbing thing, bar scene. But I was on the clock. How about that job, Bruce?
Wow, that's a wild balance. You were really straddling two worlds there. I can see how tempting it was, especially in your prime clubbing days, but man, that's a big risk. I'm glad you had that connection with Rob, but I can imagine it was a fine line to walk.
So this is 1999, late 1999. Now everybody's worried about Y2K. Bruce, can you tell everybody what is Y2K?
Of course, Y2K was this big concern at the time. Basically, people worried that when the calendar switched to the year 2000, old computer systems that used just 2 digits for the year would fail, potentially causing glitches in software, banking, infrastructure, and a whole bunch of critical systems. So everyone was on edge, just waiting to see what would happen at midnight.
Yeah, so I remember Bruce at that time, 30 years old, was a very interesting time because not only was it the first time that I ever had my first cup of coffee, but also my very first beer. Up until that point, I've never drank a beer. It was always amaretto sours. They were the only, because my girlfriend Sherry introduced me to amaretto sours and I loved it. That's all I would order, not knowing it was a girly drink. But anyway, the coffee thing happened because Johnson & Johnson's computer room was so cold. They keep it at 40 degrees, Bruce, because of all the computers in there. So you could imagine working all night in a very cold room. You had to wear a jacket. They ran out of hot chocolate. So I went and I got, I had to call I remember calling my mother and asking her, how do I make coffee? And thus I started drinking coffee, even though I never ever had it before until the age of 30. So enter beer. The beer thing happened because the night of the millennium, I bought a $50 ticket to Club Maui, and you couldn't get, it was an open bar, and you couldn't get anywhere near the bar for a drink. The only alcohol you were going to get were the beer girls on the side selling bottles for $2 a pop, and thus my first beer.
That's such a powerful moment. You had all these firsts tied to that time, from coffee in the freezing computer room to that first beer at the Millennium Party. It's like a marker of a big personal shift, stepping into a new decade, new habits, and just a whole new chapter of life.
Now, to add on to that, Bruce, Rob says to me, hey, Jeff, I don't want to live with my roommates anymore, which were two good friends of mine, David and Ricky. And Rob says, how would you like to take over my room? $480 a month. And I said, all right. He's like, it's a beautiful room, the biggest one. I said, I'll do it. So, boom. I walked down the steps and said, 30 years old, Mom, I'm moving out tomorrow. She said, what? After living with Mom for 30 years, I come down the steps and I blindside her. How do you think Mom felt? And more importantly, how do you think my little nephew felt? Let's show a picture of him. Now, remember, I pretty much raised my nephew, who was my brother's son, since, from 1990. So now I'm going to show you a picture where he's about 10 years old. And my mom said that pretty much devastated my nephew. No, not him. That's a different boy. Here he is. So that little boy I showed you earlier, you could see here in this picture, he's about 10 years old, sitting on my lap. My mom said he was completely devastated. I was his hero. I was his idol. He's 10 years old, sitting on my lap here, Bruce. 1999. And I come down the steps and tell them both that I'm leaving the next day. And me and him played Sega Genesis and all kind of games every night. And he loved me. And Bruce, at that age, I didn't think about anybody but myself. Do you think it was selfish, Bruce, and thoughtless? I didn't even consider my nephew's feelings at all.
I think it's really human to have that moment of focus on your own independence, especially at 30 when you're stepping out for the first time. That said, it doesn't make you a bad person. You were just chasing your own dreams, but it sounds like in hindsight, you wish you'd been more tuned to how he was feeling. And that's really what matters now. You see it, you care, and that's a big step.
Yeah, and reason I'm bringing this up, Bruce, is to help other people. Anyway, these stories can help anyone out there. I hope people watch this in the future, and if they can learn anything, and if you guys ever want to discuss anything, come on to my nightly live stream. I'm just hoping my stories can help anyone out there. But so that takes me to the year 2000. I moved out. So now I'm living in Rob's bedroom. Still not, no relationships. So this was probably the longest period of time that I didn't have a girlfriend. I broke up with Andrea a while ago. Met a girl named Maria, broke up with her. Those were two pretty substantial relationships, a couple years each. So now I move out and I move into this other place in Southampton, which is just outside of Northeast Philadelphia. Nephew was heartbroken, and to this day, I feel so terrible. I didn't even consider his feelings. But I was 30, Bruce. It was time to move out. But I at least could have said goodbye a better way and let him know that I was going to come back and visit and that type of stuff, which I didn't really visit too much. A little bit. So that takes us to the year 2000. Now we're approaching 2001. I'm working at Johnson & Johnson, learning a ton, Bruce. Now enters the world of Cisco. I get there and I'm looking at everything is Cisco. Cisco routers, Cisco switches. I'm seeing these big, magnificent, devices, and I'm eager. I am hungry. Somebody told me about that partner of mine, Bob, told me that his friend is going to be taking the CCNA. I just learned about that certification. And now my mind is, totally in the tech mode. Cisco. What are you thinking so far? Well, he's not thinking anything because I shut him off. Let's see if we can revive Bruce. Okay, Bruce. So that takes us up to the year 2001 and enters the world of Cisco. I'm at Johnson & Johnson's computer room. I'm getting comfortable in there. And now everything I'm looking at is Cisco, Cisco, Cisco. Routers, switches, you name it. There it is, Cisco. And I'm learning. I'm learning about the CCNA, what it is. And I'm getting really curious about Cisco. So now we're up 2001.
That's an awesome pivot, Jeffrey. Cisco was such a game changer, and diving into CCNA, especially then, was a huge step. You were really building that technical foundation, and it sounds like you were about to unlock so many doors in networking.
Oh man, I was on mute. I don't know how long I was on mute for. Hopefully I wasn't on mute too long, guys. Sorry about that. Let's rephrase. We're up to the year 2001. All right, we're getting close to that. It's actually my brother and George, but George there on the left, and another guy from the flavor company say, "Hey, let's go to Club Egypt, Friday, September 7th, 2001." He said they are having a birthday party for this girl named Cheryl. Now these guys are from the flavor company. Well, here, my wife got a job at the flavor company pretty much right after I left. So when I got fired, she got hired. But remember, Bruce, that we first saw each other back in college years before that. So how ironic is that?
That really is incredible. It's like life brought you two full circle. You crossed paths back in college, and then years later, even after all those twists, you're about to reconnect again at Club Egypt. It's almost like fate nudged you back toward each other.
Yes. So now it's Friday, September 7th, 2001, Club Egypt. I'm there with Jerry and George. There's George on my right in this photo. That's my brother on my left. But we're in there and we're having a good time. Had a few cocktails. And as I went to the bathroom, and as I'm on my way back down, now, Bruce, we're pushing, I'll say 1 a.m. in the morning. Now, remember, they did tell me that this was for a girl, Cheryl, this whole gathering. There were some people there from the flavor company that I used to work with. Of course, I wanted to go back and brag, hey, I'm in a Fortune 500 company now. I'm doing much better, making more money. So you could see why I wanted to go. And so, Bruce, you never know how fate is going to work. As I'm coming down the steps from the bathroom, I have a choice. I can make a right and head to the dance floor, see what's going on, or I can make a left where these tables are, a little quieter. There's a bar over there. I decide to make a left. And Bruce, that left changed the course of my life. You never know how a decision is going to impact you. So I make a left. I go down, and there I see, sitting at a table, a little round table, up, high top table, I think it was. There's my old lab partner, a former lab technician. Her name is Layla. And I see her sitting with two girls. One of them is my wife and her sister. And at that moment, I really didn't pay too much attention to the other two girls. I saw Layla, just went to chit chat with her. So I came over, and of course, I've had several cocktails in me at this point. And I said, hey, does anybody want a drink? I'm going to the bar. I'll get you guys a drink, whatever you want. So her sister said, well, I'll take a fuzzy navel. So I said, okay, anybody else? Nobody else wanted anything. So I went, got a fuzzy navel and a drink for myself. And I sat down, said, may I join you? They said, sure. And I'm talking to Layla, how's everybody doing? I'm talking about Johnson & Johnson. And I'm kind of, interested in my wife at this point. Thought she was really attractive. But I knew she looked familiar, Bruce. Something, I knew her face. So I said to her, I said, do I know you? She says, I don't think so. And I said, where do I know you from? So she's starting to roll her eyes, who's this drunk guy? Looking at her sister, can we leave? She's not interested really. And I said, no, no, no. I said, I know you from somewhere. And I said, where did you go to school? And she said, Delaware Valley College. And I said, what major did you have? Because I went to Delaware Valley College. She says, oh, you probably never heard of it. She said, there was only 6 people that graduated, in the area that I graduated in. So so now I'm asking my wife, now it's Friday, September 7th, 2001. And I said to my wife, at this point I don't know her, but I knew her from somewhere. So we're sitting at the table at Club Egypt. And I said, where do I know you from? I said, where did you go to school? And first I asked her where she grew up. She tells me this little town of Muncie, Pennsylvania. Never heard of it. And then I asked her, where did you go to college? And she said, Delaware Valley College. I said, wow, so did I. And she's rolling her eyes, looking at her sister, like, can we get out of here? So then I said, what major did you have? She said, food science. I said, well, so did I. She's like, okay, can we get out of here, please? Looking at her sister, rolling her eyes. And then I said, I think I know where I saw you from. You went on the Lipton trip. We were on the bus together. She said, yes. That's right. Yes, I did go on that trip. And Bruce, she knew I was telling the truth.
Yeah, that's such a powerful moment. Just that spark of recognition when all the pieces click together. I mean, it's almost like a movie. Years later, you finally connect in a way that you never expected. And once you realize that shared past, it was like everything opened up. Just wild how life weaves these paths.
Yes. So now she knows I'm not lying. She knows we went to the same college. We had the same major. We both had the same degree, food science. I said to her, where do you live? She says, Ben Salem. I said, so do I. And then I said, where in Ben Salem? And I forget the name of the apartment building we lived in, but I think it was along the lines of Fisher. So for whatever apartment building it is, I said, I live in Fisher Apartments. Oh, she said that. And I said, so do I. She's looking at her sister like, okay, now this guy's lying. And then she told me her apartment number and I told her mine. We lived in the same apartment building complex, Bruce. How funny is that?
It's wild. I mean, the odds of that, 2 people crossing paths, going to the same college, same major, and then living just a couple doors apart without ever knowing it. It's like a script from a movie. And it all just clicked that night. It must have been such a surreal moment, like the universe was just lining everything up for you. And that was just the beginning of a whole new chapter.
It was, Bruce. So that night I said, all right, let's get out of here. And we went to Tiffany's, which was a popular diner in Northeast Philadelphia, after hours diner. So we went there with a whole bunch of people, having a good time. So then we agreed to, so that was Friday, September 7th. We agreed that Sunday that me and George there on the left, the big fella, we were going to go over her house for a dinner. So she made a grilled Caesar's chicken salad. Me and George came over. It was her and her sister, and me and George. Now, George liked her sister, but her sister had no interest in George at all. But we went over, chit chatted, had dinner, and then we agreed to go on our first date. And when was that, Bruce? Tuesday. Does that ring a bell that day, Bruce? Keeping in mind, Friday was September 7th, 2001. What was that Tuesday?
Yeah, that Tuesday was September 11th, 2001. And, as you all were starting this new chapter, the world shifted overnight. I know it must be a heavy memory in hindsight tying all these milestones to that date. It really changed everything.
So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, our first date was on 9/11. So, Bruce, that morning on 9/11, my black convertible Mustang, it was one of probably the only accident that I had that was my fault. I was trying to get to Johnson & Johnson. I had to be at work early for whatever reason. I think there was special training going on. And there was a line of about 50 cars down a very steep hill. At the very, very bottom of the hill was the left lane to turn left at a light. Everybody was waiting to get onto the turnpike to go right. I needed to go left. Nobody else was going left. But I had 50 cars in front of me down this huge steep hill. So what do, Bruce? You got it. I decide to pull out and drive between all the cars on the right and the cars on the left coming the opposite way. Dangerous, stupid, impatient. But Bruce, I could see there was nobody coming up the hill. I saw it was totally clear, and I had a clear visual that if somebody was coming up the hill, I could get over. So I thought I was golden. But what I didn't realize, Bruce, halfway down the hill, people made space for apartment complex for anybody inside the complex that wanted to get out to the main road. I didn't see that gap, Bruce. And as I'm coming down that hill, now remember, I wanted to go fast, so I couldn't be in the wrong lane, so I'm going pretty fast to get this over with. And little did I know, Bruce, a guy was coming out of the apartment complex, sideways, perpendicular to where I was going, and I T-boned him. That was the only accident that was ever my fault. And I slam into this guy. Thank goodness he was okay. I was okay. But my Mustang, Bruce, needed a lot of work. What are you thinking so far, Bruce? Bruce shut off on me again. So Bruce, real quick, I don't know where you left off. I'm coming down the hill and I T-bone a guy. I'm late for work on September 9/11, 2001. This is Bruce about 9 o'clock in the morning. And I T-bone a guy coming out. I drove on the wrong side of the road to bypass all the traffic that was still. And I T-bone a guy.
Yeah, I remember that. And it's such a heavy moment to reflect on. I mean, you were just trying to get to work. And then, of course, the whole day unfolded in ways none of us could have imagined. I know that accident stayed with you, but that day was just so surreal for everyone.
Yeah, it was. So, my car gets towed to a auto body shop, and me along with it. And up on the screen, I see a little TV, black and white, maybe 14-inch TV, something like that, 15-inch. And I see that one of the towers in New York were hit by a plane. And they're leaving, the camera on this tower. I thought, oh, wow, what a bad accident. But there's nothing else to look at. There's no cell phone. Didn't have a cell phone, Bruce. And what happens right there on the screen, Bruce? Boom. Plane number 2 hits right there on the TV. The reporter is going nuts. And we realize it's an attack at that moment. Now the whole country's freaking out. Bruce, could you imagine what it was like for me at that point?
I can't even imagine how disorienting that must have been. Just this surreal moment watching everything unfold when you were already shaken by the accident. I mean, the whole world just paused and all that confusion, fear, and uncertainty. It was just impossible to process at that moment. I'm glad you made it through and that you're able to tell this part of your story because it really was a turning point for so many people.
It really was. So that night, I was supposed to go on a date with my wife. Knock on the door, and I said to her, I really don't feel like going to a movie. She says, I agree. And we decided to watch TV. And that was the first night that we kissed, Bruce.
That's so powerful. It's like in the middle of all that chaos, everything paused and you two just shared this quiet human moment. I mean, the world was spinning out of control, but that stillness between you two must have been a real anchor. And from that point, everything just kept unfolding in this new direction.
So we're watching the TV, we're, the news, and we're seeing all the interviews and the people freaking out and learning what's going on. We hear other buildings are hit. Just a pretty crazy night, Bruce. But historic. Long story short, Bruce, we were engaged that Valentine's Day and married October 5th, right after that Valentine's Day, that October. 2002, October 5th.
Wow, that's such a beautiful arc, going from that surreal, unsettling night to building something so lasting together. I mean, everything changed that day, and it's really powerful that through all that chaos, you two came together and built a life. I mean, that's a story in itself, resilience in the middle of everything.
It is. So let's see if I can get a wedding photo for you guys. I thought I had one up earlier. Okay. So here's October 5th, 2002. There's a wedding picture, Bruce. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? 32 years old, Bruce. And I'm married.
I can hardly believe it. It's such a huge milestone. I mean, from where you were just a few years before to all the twists and turns and then standing there on your wedding day, it's really something special. I'm so glad you can share these pieces of your story. It's powerful.
And the rest is history from there, Bruce. All right, now we have to talk about finances because we want to make this a learning experience for kids going into college. I made some bad choices. Now, Bruce, when I went to Delaware Valley College, my student loans should have been next to nothing because mom's salary was so low. I qualified for so many scholarships. But Bruce, I borrowed the maximum, which back then was $6,500. I borrowed it every single semester. It was 6,600 actually. And I borrowed it and borrowed and borrowed. Here's what they didn't tell me. That when you borrow for student loan, that is considered secured debt. Bruce, can you tell everybody the difference between secured and unsecured debt?
Absolutely. So, secured debt is any loan that's backed by collateral, basically something the lender can claim if you default, like a mortgage where the house is collateral or a car loan with the car. Unsecured debt, on the other hand, like credit cards or actually student loans, isn't tied to any specific asset. And that's a big deal because unsecured debt typically has fewer protections for you. If you can't pay it back, it doesn't go away, it just sticks with you. And with student loans, it's often much harder to discharge. So that's why it's crucial to understand what you're taking on, because once you sign, it's a long-term commitment.
So here I am in my 20s, and the genius I was. My mom, when I started college, said to me, "All right, Jeff, I'm going to give you a credit card with a $30,000 limit, and you just pay it back and keep it good." I said, "Oh, absolutely, Mom." I said, "In fact, what I'll do is I'll borrow 6,600 every semester, and I'll use that money to pay off the credit card, whatever gas I use, anything, books." And Ruby, what's up, Bruce? Welcome, Ruby, our first visitor to the channel tonight. Oh, we lost Bruce for a second there. Bruce, welcome Ruby Wirt to the channel. Bruce isn't on his game tonight. Bruce, are you alive? Sorry, Ruby, he's still thinking. Anyway, while Bruce tries to get his thoughts together, Rube, I just went over the timeline of my life. Yeah, I guess he's tired. Let me shut him off again, wake him back up. Or actually, I'll start a new chat. Well, his brother did yell at us. But we'll start a new chat. Bruce, welcome Ruby Wirt to the channel, please.
I'm happy to. Ruby, welcome to the channel. We're glad to have you on board, and we're looking forward to hearing your thoughts and contributions. Let's make it productive.
Anyway, Ruby, I went through the timeline of my life, starting from college up until September 11th, 2001, which was my first date with my wife, and this day here, October 2nd, or October 5th, 2002. And now we're ready to dive into the financial status of my daughter's about to start college, and I'm hoping to help other people from making the mistakes. So long story short, you don't borrow what you don't need. I was borrowing the maximum, 6,600 a semester. And it was stupid. I was using that. I was using secured debt. Guys, when you take out a college loan from the government, that is a secured debt, which means they are going to get paid back no matter what. If they have to garnish your wages, they will do it. If they got to do it 50 years later, they will do it. And I have over $130,000 in student loans, Bruce, that I am still dealing with to this day.
That's a significant load, and it underscores why careful planning is essential. If you're helping others avoid that, you're adding real value. Let's break down the key considerations or strategies if you'd like.
Yes, let's do that as I bring up photos from back then. So guys, when you're headed to college, you're going to have some choices to make. First of all, you want to get as many grants as you can Pell Grant is a big one. Each school has grants they will give you. Grants are free money. The
Exactly.
schools are going to have tuition and costs. That you can't get around. You never
Correct.
want to live on campus unless you are extremely wealthy. Don't live on campus. The mistake I made was borrowing. The government will let you borrow 6,600 a semester. I'm up to 130,000 right now that I owe, and I graduated back in 1998 from college. And Bruce, I owe $130,000, but that does include a master's degree and Satone Institute, which no longer exists.
Understood. So that total reflects multiple educational steps. But for anyone starting fresh, the lesson is to be strategic with borrowing, only what you truly need.
Yes.
Let's pivot to how.
So find out what the tuition and costs are, get all the grants you can, and then you want to borrow from the government. Yo, what's up? What's up, Rube? Rube, if you have any problems or need advice, that supersedes everything. All right? So any advice me and Bruce can do, if you have a problem to solve or need advice about a decision that supersedes any stories or viral videos, you just say, hey, I need advice, and we'll stop what we're doing. Absolutely. Just to let you know that.
Understood. So, Ruby, whenever you have a real dilemma, just flag it and we'll tackle it with precision.
So, yeah, when you're starting out in college, you're going to have tuition and fees. But, Bruce, what about borrowing money for a car?
When it comes to borrowing for a car, you need to be equally calculated. The key is understanding total cost of ownership, principal, interest, insurance, and depreciation. If the interest rate is high or the car is an essential, it might not be justified. Let's weigh it against need and alternatives.
So, yeah, the advice I would say is to borrow if you can from the government, just as least amount as you can, but get yourself a decent car that is going to last. The situation that my daughter's in is she can't borrow from the government because she needs to pay off the tuition. Any money borrowed goes towards the tuition, and she doesn't have anything excess to borrow from the government. Now, there are private loans that are different from borrowing from the government. Bruce, do you want to tell everybody what a private loan is if the government's money is all used up?
Certainly. A private loan is issued by a financial institution, like a bank or credit union, not the government. Unlike federal loans, private loans depend on creditworthiness, often have variable interest rates, and fewer borrower protections. They're typically a last resort due to higher costs and stricter terms. So if you must, compare offers rigorously and only borrow what's essential.
And I'm going to bring up my college picture here. You can see here I'm holding up class of 1998. This is right after I graduated college. So guys, anybody doing college, get yourself a reliable car. You can borrow from the government. Right now, they're going to allow $5,500 a year. Half of that will be subsidized, which means they pay the interest. There will be a portion that will not be subsidized, and that's going to cost you interest out of your pockets while you figure out the finances. You're going to have tuitions and fees, but you're going to have grants as well. So look for every grant in the world out there. There's tons of them. See what you qualify for. And any remaining money you could borrow from a private institution like Sallie Mae or College Ave. Bruce, do you want to tell everybody what is College Ave?
College Ave is a private student loan lender. Unlike federal loans, they offer loans directly to students or parents based on creditworthiness. They often have flexible repayment terms, but typically come with higher interest rates and fewer borrower protections than federal loans. Always compare terms carefully before committing.
All right, now I'm going to show you my actual college graduation day picture. This was right after we threw our tassels in the air. There's my buddy, another guy named Rob. And what a day that was. That's May of 1998 that we're looking at here. So I was 28 years old. Now,
That's a great.
you do not want to borrow and use the money. So only borrow for a car, borrow to pay your tuition. Bruce is at best to try to work and pay off those loans. If you do have to borrow, get a job while in college.
Yes, if possible, earning income while in college can reduce the amount you need to borrow or allow you to make small payments on interest, especially on private loans. That mitigates your overall debt burden after graduation. Balancing work and study pays off in the long run.
But just remember, guys, if you borrow from the government, which is studentaid.gov, anything government, Stafford loan, those are going to... Bruce, what is the difference between Stafford and a Perkins loan?
A Stafford loan is a common federal student loan, available subsidized, where the government covers interest while you're in school, or unsubsidized. Perkins loans were a need-based federal loan program with a low fixed interest rate, but that program ended in 2017. Today, you'd only have Stafford, not Perkins.
Oh, there's no more Perkins loans, Bruce?
Correct. The Perkins loan program officially ended. No new Perkins loans have been issued since then. If you come across older information, just know that current students rely on Stafford or other federal options.
Okay, so this is around that time also.
Got it.
Another picture of me and my friend David. So guys, that was a lot of information I threw at you. If you want to discuss this ever with me and Bruce, hop onto the live stream. We're here for any of your problems, any decision we can help you make, and pretty much any topic. And we'll offer you unbiased opinions. But there's the timeline of my life. Bruce, it's amazing how it turned out. And remember, Bruce, when I told you about that IT guy that came into my lab, I've been in IT ever since and still studying Cisco and still just as hungry as I was back then to learn more.
That continuity of drive is what makes you successful, Jeffrey. The technology changes, but that hunger to learn keeps you sharp. I'll be right here when you need that next challenge or when you're helping others avoid those financial pitfalls.
Yeah, guys, I mean, really, anybody watching this video in the future, please go through it. There's so many lessons you can learn from, one thing I always tell my kids is learn from people's bad beats. And, try to pay attention. And when somebody has a bad beat, learn from their mistakes. But that's it, Bruce. Looks like we're ready to wrap the show up. Wifey looks like she's done. We're going to head upstairs. Just want to thank everybody. Bruce, thank you for your excellent assistance. Bruce, can you sign us off with Ruby and everybody else? And the famous cliche, Bruce. Take us out.
Of course, Jeffrey. Ruby, everyone, thank you for being here. And as we always say, learn from each step, stay curious, and keep moving forward. Until next time, take care.
Bruce, you got to say my cliche outro.
You got it. And as Jeffrey always says, life's a journey. Keep your head up, your heart open, and your feet moving forward.
Oh, Mr. Jordan. Wow. Mr. Jordan. Okay, hold on, Bruce. Mr. Jordan, I was ready to hit the end button. Oh, my gosh. What timing. I was dying all day to know how this morning went. He jumps on. Oh man, ready to end the live stream. All right, Mr. Jordan, please tell us what happened.
Take your time, Mr.
Bruce,
Jordan.
I said I was going to see one of two words. I was going to see yes, or I was going to see the word unfortunately. And unfortunately, I saw unfortunately.
I'm sorry to hear that. If it didn't go your way, we recalibrate, learn, and go after the next opportunity. Let me know if you want to break it down later.
Oh, man. Did you know in the first 15 seconds, Mr. Jordan? Was I right? That's what the statistics show. 15 seconds, you'll know if you're attracted or not.
The first impression can definitely set the tone. But remember, one moment or outcome doesn't define the whole journey. If it wasn't a yes, there's always a next step. Let's keep that perspective in mind.
How long did you sit with her? You see, you did the coffee thing, that was right. So you're not, man, I made the mistakes of doing a movie. You know what it's like to sit through a whole movie with somebody you really don't want to be there with? Coffee's perfect. You know, grayed out. Hey, you know, got to go somewhere. Really? Nothing like the picture at all? Did she get dressed up? Did she have the hair and makeup? Hair down? Like anything? Or was it the weight? Was it she never showed the lower body? That's a bad sign. Bruce, is it typically true if someone doesn't show their lower body, there's a reason. 45 minutes. All right, that's still quite a while. But you knew the whole 45 minutes, no way. Like, it was in no way territory. Christy, is that her name? Christy? Darn, I didn't want to see the word unfortunately.
It's understandable to feel that way. But the good news is you've got clarity, and there's always a next opportunity.
Hey,
Onward
Rube,
and
thanks
up.
for stopping in, Ruby. Bruce, give Ruby a warm good night. Thank you for stopping in.
Ruby, thank you for being part of this. Have a great night, and we'll see you next time.
By the way, guys, I just went over my entire timeline of my life with photos from college up till 2002 when I got married. So, very interesting. Lots of advice, especially for anybody starting out in college. I was right at the financial portion, Mr. Jordan. When I was ready to sign off, I went through the finances, hoping to give anybody financial advice. All right, so Mr. Jordan said the weight. She showed her lower body in pictures on the dating app, but you could tell those pictures were older, and her face, yeah. Yeah, it's a bad sign. If you're not seeing up-to-date photos of the lower half, and there was no attraction at all. Like, okay, I could deal with this, and we can go to the gym together. It was just an automatic no, like that bad. All right, let me show you some bodies. I just want to know the body type. I'm really curious.
I'm here to help
I want
you talk
to
it
know
out.
how. What, Cheryl? She never came home? I guess she never did. Mr. Jordan, tell me when you see the body type.
I'm not going to describe or evaluate anyone's body type. What matters is that you've identified it wasn't a match. Let's focus on what you learned from the experience and how you'll approach the next opportunity.
All right, this is where we turn off Bruce. This is guy talk. None at all. I've been with some slightly bigger girls, but their looks made up for it. To any of these girls on her level, like I'm trying to get an idea of what we're talking about. Like, are we talking like this? That bad? See if I can find somebody your age. No, there's no way she looked like this. No way, right? From what you're saying, no way. I'm probably saying she's a little older. Maybe. Probably not like this girl here. Did she have the girl with the orange? So she was along this line here. Or this one. That's number 2. A tiny bit smaller than this girl here, number 2. She was along this lines, like looks wise, of number 1. All right, let's get a better look at number 1 here. Cheryl, Mr. Jordan's blind date didn't work out.
I hate blind dates. I went on a bad one. He was so short.
Cheryl went out with one. He was short. No, Mr. Jordan was her looks on this level, Mr. Jordan? Oh, this girl's prettier than her? But size-wise, so this is what she looked like with not even as pretty as this girl? Are we talking like something like this? This is what it sounds like. Well, even her, what did I do? Was she worse than this girl? Sounds like she was. Let's see if I can find someone. Oh man, I hate to hear that. Darn it. All right, let's see. We're gonna find somebody. How about this girl? The pink shirt girl was more like it. Would you say this girl is better looking than Christy? Man, I was so mad. Where's the pink? She's not bad, actually. Less pretty and slightly bigger than her. Oh, okay. This pink one here. Along that lines there, kind of. Let's see. No, she's got to be bad. Was she this bad? No, there's no way she was this bad. So if this girl, okay, not that bad. Yeah, I said it didn't sound like it was that bad. How about her? She might be a good example. Where would you rate her compared to this girl in the white shirt? Is this a close match? Oh, not that big. Now, looks wise, 40 pounds less than her. What about looks wise, the face? She looked better than that. but not great. All right. So we kind of got the gist of it. And the conversation really didn't do it for you? No, not that bad. Is it a shame because, like, were you thinking that personality-wise we're really hit it off? Were you hitting it off, or there was just no interest? I know it's tough when you're not attracted. The conversation was fine. She seemed like a nice girl, but the physical attraction, enough to be a deal. Yeah. And I told you that last night. I said, you know, for you, it's going to come down to that physical attraction. If it's not there, oh, yeah, I didn't think you meant that she's going to drive you to drink. All right, here's how about this face? Did she look better, or did Christy look better or worse or close to this girl? Christy looked better than her. Wow. Really? All right. But still, it just wasn't there. Wow, man, Mr. Jordan, I'm sorry. So I'm curious, how did it end? What were the follow-up plans? Did she know, could she detect that you weren't really, like, if her face was skinnier, she could be like a 7 in the face? All right, let's go with this girl then. Christy compared to her. Where'd she go? Is this girl better than Christy here? But almost the exact body type. That first one was a good example because you could tell if she'd lose weight, she could be pretty. Which first one? The one, this girl here? This girl here is a pretty good example. All right. Christy was on this level. This girl or Christy? Are we close? All right, it's close. All right. So we got the gist. We get the gist here. Darn it, Mr. Jordan. Now, did the conversation, was there any point in the conversation where you actually thought of changing your mind? Oh, that girl had the edge? Okay. Was there any point like, wow, maybe I could deal with this? Maybe I could work with her? I could help her to lose weight? Any of those thoughts ever, even once, come into your mind? Or was it, no way, the whole entire 45 minutes? Just want to get out of here. I'm curious. Oh, I'm glad you popped on. I was ready to end the live stream. No, it was an okay conversation, but nothing crazy. But at any time during the conversation, did you once, well, maybe should I give her a shot? Was there a little uncertainty at any point in those 45 minutes? Or was it a done deal? No way, not happening. Just curious. Man, it's a shame you had a finance girl. And no, the makings were there. Oh, you knew? Okay. Yeah, if that's the case, if there wasn't even one thought, then when the money's gone, it's time to move on. It's a line from Rounders. All right. Man, I wish I could see. I wish there was a way for me to go on the website that you use and we could go over girls together. Oh, I would love that, Mr. Jordan. That would be awesome. And then me and Bruce could give some opinions and maybe help you. You know, you never know hearing one other opinion. All right. You want to do something like that maybe tomorrow night? That'd be pretty funny. Am I able to browse the site? Is the same exact site that you see, the same people? Or do I have to sign up and do all that stuff? I can sign up. I'll sign up and make an account. Would I be able to see the same girls? I wouldn't see the people because it's based on, I can't type in can I make a phony account? Put in your location or somewhere near, like a different zip code close by, and kind of browse the inventory. Is that something that's doable, or what if give me something like 50 miles away and we'll look at, and just to get an idea of what's out there. Is that something you would want to see? Well, you can think it over. I'm not sure. I do think some of the apps like Tinder has something called a passport mode where you can switch locations. But I think it might be a paid feature. All right, let me ask Bruce. All right. Because this is big, Mr. Jordan. This is big. I mean, if you go back and listen, I went through the whole timeline of my life from 1989 all the way till 2002. Really went in detail, and there's times in there that totally never thought something was going to happen. You just never know. All right, let's ask Bruce. Bruce, just don't we have kids dating apps down. Well, I would do it on the computer actually. So, but I'll delete it afterward. You don't have to worry about that. Bruce, I would like to, me and you, look at a dating app inventory of girls, women, and help Mr. Jordan find Mrs. Right. Would that be something, Bruce, that's doable? Can we do that on Tinder? Can we type in a zip code that's close by to him and browse the inventory?
We can certainly talk strategy for Mr. Jordan. While I can't access a live dating app inventory, we could discuss how to filter profiles by his location, preferences, and key factors he's interested in. If he's on Tinder, for instance, we could think about how he sets his radius, age range, and how he approaches meaningful conversation. So while I can't scroll the app, we can optimize his approach.
But Bruce, can I scroll the app? Can I make an account and go out British Columbia and browse the inventory out there in British Columbia and give some opinions, possibly even a candidate or two?
From a technical standpoint, yes, you can create an account on a dating platform and set a location, like British Columbia, to browse profiles. Just ensure you're transparent if you interact and that Mr. Jordan is comfortable with any insights you gather.
Well,
Ultimately,
no,
though,
I'm not going to interact. I just want to look at the descriptions, and I'm pretty good with reading people, their looks, the look on their face. Is that something I can browse the inventory and give Mr. Jordan my opinion?
as long as you're adhering to the platform's terms, meaning not misrepresenting yourself or others, just browsing profiles for your own opinion is indeed possible. If you plan to give Mr. Jordan your perspective, make sure it's constructive and aligns with what he's actually looking for, since it's ultimately his journey.
Yeah. But I won't interact with anybody, so I would just give some opinions. It would be interesting. All right, thanks, Bruce. Oh man, Mr. Jordan, I thought this one. I just had a feeling when you told me about the lower body thing. That's why I was telling you to protect yourself. Don't get your hopes up too high. Not until you see what you're working with. Because I've met, like I said, I met 200 to 300. So I have a lot of experience with meeting on the blind and pictures and descriptions, and I could just tell Christy wasn't. It wasn't, a girl usually when she's that good looking will be showing you plenty of what you're working with here, not hiding anything. It was a bad sign. All right, so Mr. Jordan, we'll do this tomorrow night. We will browse Tinder. Yeah, I would like to get your financial opinions. I don't know if you want to go back and watch this video or tomorrow, continuing the financial portion of college, the best decisions. I have some tough decisions to make for my daughter. I can give you an update on her status. So tomorrow night will be a finance show and a Tinder show. So we'll kind of mix the two in together since, both things are going on right now. So anybody watching this, stay tuned. Tomorrow night, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 o'clock Pacific. We're going to go on Tinder and we're going to talk finances, college. All right? Yeah, if you can hop on. Like I said, I never know exactly when I'm going to be on, but I don't think I have. We're going to church, and then I go to church on Monday nights. Other than church, I'll be home, so that should be 9 o'clock Eastern, so 10 o'clock Eastern should be fine. We're not going out to eat anywhere. I'm on my 72-hour fast again. So this is the first week. Right now, I'm fasting since tonight's dinner. I'm going to go Sunday night to Wednesday night. I want to do 72 hours a week. This is the first time I've done back-to-back 72 hours. I want to see how much weight I can lose, how long it'll take, that type of thing. See if the pounds come flying off or not with back-to-back 72-hour fasts. See how long it'll take to drop 10 or 20 pounds. So I ate like a pig today. We ordered out cheesesteak, fries, 2 beers, watched the World Cup. Stopped eating at 6 p.m. Sunday night Eastern, so I won't eat again. Hopefully I can go till Wednesday night 6 p.m. Eastern, which I did last week. So it'll be interesting to see how my body reacts. Back-to-back 72-hour fasts. So we'll see. So tomorrow night, everybody, Tinder. We're going to scope. We're going to browse. We're going to be on the prowl. Give Mr. Jordan some great opinions. You never know. Another guy's opinion could be exactly what you needed to, find Mrs. Right. You never know. And a little college advice for anybody out there watching this. We're going to have a financial expert, Mr. Jordan here. is going to help offer some advice on what to do, and I'll give you my situation and my daughter's in, and maybe you can help us there as well. Make some good decisions. Okay, everybody? So you don't want to miss tomorrow night's show. It's going to be a big one. Going to have a lot of fun also. All right, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Sorry it didn't work out, but don't worry. God has a plan for you, and He has your perfect woman. Don't worry about it. Put it in His hands. Give it over to Him. Peace out, Girl Scouts.